we did it.
Gosh.
We hit 1,000
way
subs.
too much time on your hands.
Yeah, we hit 1,000 subs, all thanks to you guys. This is our special 1,000
Everything
sub show.
1,000.
I know, everything.
Everything.
Absolutely, everything's going to be 1,000, except probably viewership. But let's hope.
Well,
so maybe we can get to 100.
Hi, Jeffrey.
From there. Welcome, everybody. It's Aaron Live. This is our special 1,000 subbed episode.
Yay.
We have got videos. We have got snacks. And
lots of snacks.
Lots of snacks.
Leg Kick is here. Hey, Leg Kick is here.
I can't believe it. Leg Kick is here?
Because Leg Kick is always here.
He's always here. But look at this. He's always here misspelling your
That's
name.
Okay. That's what it is on my birth certificate.
Is it? Is it okay? I don't think it's okay. You got to get the spelling right.
Man.
No, so we have a special guest tonight too. Mark, illustrator Mark. No, it isn't. You're the regular guest host. Mark Nelson, illustrator, character designer. You might remember him from Aliens, the very first Dark Horse miniseries way back in 1988. We'll be bringing him in about 30 minutes. So if you're here to see Mark, hang on, because we have to get through the faux entertainment section before we get to
the faux pas entertainment section.
So we have to get through that before we can bring Mark in. Everybody's
I Leg Kick.
Oh yeah, so he's kind of right. We're over 1,000 now, so I guess that kind of makes the show.
Well, because it happened when you were in Kansas City.
That's right.
And how was that for you?
The show for a one-day
show
actually did all right. It was pretty good. Only 40 dealers tables, so I didn't pick up much. I did get a couple of creepy and eerie magazines, but other than that,
which means you didn't spend very much.
No, I didn't spend much at all.
Gotcha.
And but no, I had a good time, and I was able to bribe a couple of people at a store signing to sign up to this YouTube channel to get us over 1,000, which I talked a little bit about on whenever the last second. Yeah, I did on Monday when I came back because we missed the, so I had kind of a last second. We talked about that a little bit. Yeah. Okay, Apex Comics is here.
Yeah, the 1,000 and then some.
Boy, that's a creative misspelling of your name.
Hey, we're all about creative here. I will never get anybody for spelling because I cannot spell.
Well, at least Mr. Macabre.
Mr. Lopresti.
I know
aren't you fancy?
He interviewed me. That's the one with the controversial interview that's up on Phoenix Comics Facebook page. Where everybody thought I was getting a little annoyed with Mr. Macabre.
With your acting
my acting skills were just
nice,
like Academy Award level stuff.
They'd like to thank the Academy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. A statistical zero says the 1,000 and then some celebration. Absolutely,
that's so cool.
Yeah, that's right. We're 1,000 and like 0.1 or something.
Yeah, I don't even know that many people.
I did have a sandwich that had some barbecue in it that was pretty good, and they had like this potato salad, but it was like a mashed potato salad or a I can't remember what it was, but it was really, really good.
Yeah.
What did you laugh at?
You'll see.
This one? Uh-huh. Is this going to be another portfolio review? I brought my pillow just in case. Oh, geez. Good thing I brought that just for you. Oh, my gosh.
I got my nap in earlier, so I can stay awake.
This is the show of 1,000 portfolios. It's going to be really special. Okay.
1,000 snores.
Apex says, you can take a punch, Aaron. Well, wait a minute. It's the wrong one. I can take a punch, Aaron. Good.
Good thing.
Because I can dish them out. All right. Well, the big question, obviously, of today has got to be, what are we snacking on?
Oh, baby.
Okay, Shelley, show us what we got.
I got to put my glasses on.
Put my glasses on. This is...
Well, let's see. We have what we're going to call our 1,000 grand bar.
Yeah, the 100 grand bar. But if we cut it into 100 pieces, each piece would be 1,000.
I don't know. Mars. Chunky, like me. Ooh, Reese's. Ooh, Nutrageous. Goodness, I didn't do the shopping. Little Mike and Ike.
These are the grape ones. Those are the ones I used to get when I was a kid.
What?
Those are my favorite ones.
They're gluten-free, so I can have them.
Okay.
Some Swedish fish.
I've been on a Swedish fish kick lately. I don't know why.
Some chocolate-covered.
Dark chocolate, so it's healthy.
So it's good for you.
Yeah.
Almonds. And then to top it all off, gotta have some White Claw.
Okay, Shelley, now break this. What's our total calories on all these snacks?
Well, we're just over 2,000
That
calories.
includes the White Claws.
Yes. So we're going to have to split it up to celebrate the 1,000.
So each of us eats half.
And then
that's 1,000 calories.
Be sleeping on the treadmill tonight with it going.
I don't think there's any possible way we could
on the treadmill?
Eat all of this.
Oh,
that's
I think there's a way.
Of well, not in one sitting. This is a lot of sugar.
Oh, so like, anybody interesting coming on beside Shelley?
Where was it?
I thought it was anybody interested in coming on beside Shelley. And he has to fight me on it.
Tell me if you think this is interesting.
Diabetes initiated. Yep. 10,000 calories.
Yeah, look at Jeff Potts is right there. Well, we were surprised actually at how few calories some of these things actually were.
Yeah, I was surprised. And then like the Mike and Ike's was probably if you ate the whole box.
Yeah, it'd be like 495 calories if you ate the whole box. But if you only eat 5, which is the recommended serving size.
No, there's 16 pieces per serving size. There's 4.5 servings per container.
Okay, so that's what? 3.5?
Well, calories don't matter when you're talking of like a celebration, right? That's right. The little Presties trick or treat when they please.
Exactly.
That's right.
We don't hand out, we collect.
There's a good question. So now that you're at 1,000 subs, what are you going to do next?
I'm going to Disneyland. No. I'm going to go to.
What are you going to do next?
I'm going to go for 2,000 subs.
1,010.
No, it's times like these that people count their calories up. Then they say. Well, Shelley, you know what I'm working on?
Not a clue.
This. I don't know what it is, though.
I don't either.
I think it's Swedish, though, so we could actually have Swedish fish to celebrate this. So I don't have any information on this yet, but I just always like to throw that up there because it's kind of funny that after all this time, we still have no clue what it is. Okay, but this is the important thing, right? So this is Wraith of God. This is my crowdfund project that's going to go live in like about 2 weeks.
Oh gosh, I'm so nervous.
So I need everybody to continue to sign up. The sign-up numbers have been great so far, but we need to continue.
Yeah, I hear you were trending on there.
I was very trendy, and it was probably because of my shirt.
Your fashion for sure.
Exactly. So there is a link to this actually in the description.
Nice.
And there's a link on my Facebook pages. Both of them.
Ahead.
Both of them. On my Instagram bio page. And on my Twitter profile.
Nice.
So there's like links
everywhere.
But you know what I like to do? I like to show a little bit of new artwork for this.
But you know what I think everybody wants to know?
What?
Is our air conditioner still as crappy as it was?
You can hear the fan buzzing in the background. It's gotten worse, if anything.
Yeah. I figure we'll just tough it out. We do have a quote coming in next week, maybe week after. And installation is still like October. So we'll just have to make it through August. It'll be all right.
Okay, so you might look at that and say, what the heck is that? Would you look at that and say that?
What the heck? It's scary.
She thinks it's scary or something like that. That guy.
Scary. Yeah.
You know what this is? Shelley, this is a limited edition print that I'm going to be offering during my campaign. I have to finish it, of course. This is in the pencil stages, but this will be on the live campaign page as an option of something to order. It'll be signed and numbered, like all the prints I do. So
love it. All right, so Aaron's too old for Disneyland, so we are old.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff.
Now, I'm assuming that I know who that is, and you've been on there.
I've been on it a couple times, but I will be back for sure. In fact, he does one Monday nights that I'm
And he
part
said
of.
that your cover was.
He said it was the best looking Indiegogo cover he's seen yet.
Yep.
So how about that?
That was kind of nice.
It was. It was very nice of him. I appreciate it. He's been very supportive. And when a guy's got 160,000 followers on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had a party at 1,000.
Probably not.
Did he eat candy at 1,000 calories?
He probably blew right through 1,000.
Type 2 diabetes overnight.
Exactly.
Into the comments here.
Not only am I thinking about it. Oh, sorry. Not only am I thinking about it, I will definitely be doing it. What I'm thinking about is if I'm going to do it for 1 or 2 pages. So I have to go back and kind of double check the script, but that will be an option. Jeff says it's a cool looking cover. Well, it's not. My cover. Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The image we just saw, of course, will be for the limited edition print.
Yep.
So, Shelley.
What?
I think it's time now. We've discussed some snacks.
Let's do this.
Let's crack some open.
All right. Do you want this one?
Okay, let's split that because it's in 2 pieces. That'll be a perfect way to
Okay, so that's
start.
100 each. Write it down.
Okay.
Got to do the math.
It's 100 calories
I'm
each.
taking chunky because I'm chunky.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay. So,
It's got raisins.
is this like a race to see who out-calories who?
It's got raisins. What are you thinking?
What does?
Chunky.
Oh, I thought it had nuts in it. I like raisins. You don't, though, do you?
I don't mind them, like trail mix. But
Well, if you don't mind them, then you should be all right.
all right.
Crack
Chunky
open
for the
100
chunky girl.
100 gram bar.
Well, I thought okay.
It's in 2 pieces, so let's.
Oh, he's so bossy.
It's my freaking show. Gosh.
Ooh. This house is like 1,000,000 degrees.
All right.
Dang.
I got it. 100 calories right here.
Dang. It's way too hot in here.
I like rice pieces.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me see.
And caramel.
Mm.
And melted chocolate.
Natural lime. Okay, I'll try some chunky for the chunky.
You're not going to, you
No.
got to finish up.
Oh, it's all melty.
Just peel it back and put it all in your mouth at once. I'm going to take gum. Remember, all handling was free.
All right, what else? They don't need to sit here and watch me eat candy.
I
What about the comments?
I didn't even talk. I'm
Write
like,
the comments.
no.
We do have a
If Shelley punches Aaron, that needs to become part of the Phase 5 reel. It's very possible that she will hit me at any time. Snacks before dinner. This is our dinner. Are you kidding me?
Apparently he ate an entire apple pie.
Well, I would love to get a. We had actually talked about doing like a pie eating contest or something on his show. I'd be up for that. Chocolate and alcohol. What a mix, baby. Okay, you know, because it's our 1,000th episode or 1,000th sub episode.
Oh, that was good.
See, I told you. We have some special videos, but first, let's take a look at the rights and image for the day, shall we?
Yeah.
Now, as far as I know, that was only published in the Rights and Retrospective book, A Look Back. And it was done in tonal grays, looked like markers.
What was that in the middle?
That was bursting through the wall.
Uh-huh.
It was a werewolf,
Oh,
which sort of ties in to...
that's thematic.
Yeah, it ties into
To
this right there.
yes.
Which, of course, is Wraith of God, my new graphic novel project that's coming
I
up.
heard something about that.
Yeah, that's one cover. Do you know I also have a retro 70s cover that
I
goes
heard
along
that
with
too.
And there's going to be a third cover. I just checked with my artist.
Yeah.
He sent me a little video of Kirk and just said, "Yes, Captain." So I think we're good.
Ooh, it's
but I'm
a
not
go.
gonna.
We're not gonna
I'm
say.
not gonna say anything
Until it's in
until
your
I actually
hands.
get something to show.
Yep.
But so anyway, those are the two covers that'll be offered, and there'll be a third one as well.
Nice.
So that's kind of exciting.
What else you got?
Oh, what else do I have? Probably some comments. You want to get your money out of it, right? So I guess the long.
I
You know what I
it's
almost
stuck.
got? One of those Charleston chews. Those really.
I like those, but if my tooth would have been out for sure.
She gets dental work. What do they have? What did you have done?
So they replaced the filling a year ago. Then now, lo and behold, there's a cavity under the filling, which I'm like, that's not even my fault.
Well,
So to get to that, they'd have to drill so much, I had to get a crown. So I go in, and mind you, it's the very back top tooth, the hardest one to get to. I have to lay in this chair, tip my head back, which of course with my neck is brutal. And yeah, so I walk out of there almost 2 hours later, killer neck, and opening my jaw. I have a really small mouth, even though I have a loud mouth. And the temporary crown fell off within 2 days.
48 hours.
Eating yogurt.
She was eating yogurt, and bing, there it went.
Well, no, I was like, oh, let's go hard. I put frozen blueberries in it. Yeah. And I go, nice. So yeah, I'm glad you didn't get the, but now I can eat whatever because it's not in there.
It's already off. So are there going to be bundles with multiple covers? Of course there will. And there'll be sketchbook bundles in there as well.
He was telling me about some swag today.
I'm going to have copies of Garbage Man, the trade paperback, and some other
stuff.
Some stuff. So there'll be like a massive bundle thing. And so Leg Kick is so eat more candy. I guess that's what he came for.
That's so nice.
Of all the comic artists who have YouTube channels, I think you're the only one whose wife regularly joins him on the vids. Pretty cool. Yes, she is. And she provides that nice comic relief that
Shelley
I need.
Sarcasm.
That's right. We're going to make a t-shirt of Showtime Shelley once we get rolling a little bit farther.
Nobody wants to wear a t-shirt
TJ
with my
Martinez,
mug
good
on
evening. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. You know, and that reminds me, Shelley. What?
What? Oh.
You're going to have to wait. If you're just joining us, this is your first time watching.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, shoot. I forgot.
What?
Let's try it again.
Okay.
There we go. I forgot Frank. Distracted there. Oh. Gee, I wonder what Jeff wants right now.
Yep. Bring it.
Ooh. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it probably on Mike Miller's channel. We might do that on one of his Wednesday night drawn and quartered shows coming up, but not till the campaign goes live. I thought he was going to get slapped. That's the way to make an impression.
So the Statistical Zero is hoping you deliver at least one crappy cover, so it'd be easier to choose.
I was thinking about doing that, but I thought, no, I want to. I'm gonna bring the heat, so everybody has to buy each one of them. That's kind of how I do it.
Yep. Do some bundles.
Okay, so you know what, Shelley?
Huh?
Since this is the 1000th show, I think it's time we take a look back in time for some precious moments.
Oh my gosh, I love these. Nice.
Thank you. There was a joke on the end of that we were sort of questioning whether I should leave it in there or not, so I cut it. Yeah. So now you can just like go, Aaron, play it, and I'm not going to. So there.
It's a little
questionable.
Oh, well, it was the first time watching one of your videos, I should say. How nice.
Well, you haven't seen nothing yet. I'm saving the best for last.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure whether I should say thanks, great to have you, or I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sorry that you had to watch the videos.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. It's quite amazing the amount of money he's raised in like 24 hours. It's just ridiculous. If I could do half that well, I'd be pretty happy. So
would I.
And if we could do twice that much, I'd be super happy.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
you know, hey,
I run to the jewelry store.
hey, exactly. So,
Although have I even been on since when I let's start
I'm
that
sorry,
again.
should we-
Let's try
Can we do
that
that in
again.
English? We're gonna do English subtitles down here for you. Go ahead.
When I was commenting that I was at the jewelry store.
Yeah.
Have I been on since then? People were like, "Oh no, I didn't spend any money. I was there in support
Our
of
son,
our oldest child, our son, picking out an engagement ring, and yeah, it was awesome, and we can't wait. And I'm sure they're not watching. I hope.
Any guest artist covers for the Wraith of God. I think we covered that, Fox. But yes, I do have someone coming in, but I'm not saying who it is right now. You'll find out when the campaign goes live, because I don't want to talk about something that I actually don't have in my hands, even though I'm quite confident that I will have it in my hands. A leg kick thinks we can do it. So that's the kind of positive thinking I like. Thank you.
I think so. I have to admit, I got a little cranky this week with how much she was online.
I got my butt chewed. Does Garbage Man have siblings who aren't superheroes? I'll never tell.
Well, not that he's aware of. Paternity court.
What does his wife look like would be the question.
Oh, it's not an official Airstream without a barky dog. That's good.
You know, he's asleep. Don't wake him. Don't wake him up.
And he's
all right.
so sleepy.
Here's the thing, Shelley.
Well, you didn't let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, bite your head off
no,
again.
Go ahead.
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
You were
well,
getting a
no.
little edgy
Yeah,
with
but I
things,
have to understand that this is, what he's got to do to promote his book. And, but I kid you not, every time I walk in here, he's online. That's okay.
Well, actually, every time she does walk in here, but she only walks in here like once or twice a day. It just happens to be the times that I'm live streaming. All the other times I'm,
Well, I guess if he had married better, he wouldn't have to work so hard to do this. So there you go. What?
$50 never killed anybody. What movie was that line set in? I have no idea.
Ooh.
$50 never killed anybody. I don't know. I probably do know after
you don't know.
After he tells me, I'll know. Josh Olive is here all the way from Alabama. He came all the way from Alabama to watch. That's great.
That is so nice.
Okay, and here's the thing. Mark Nelson is going to be jumping in about 7 minutes. And that's when, the serious stuff starts in the interview, and we kind of examine art.
Better hurry up and eat.
And we do portfolio review.
1,000 portfolios?
So I think it's time that we kind of put a little bit of a capper on the 1,000 celebration portion of the show. Where's that thing at?
Oh,
there it is.
Oh.
In fact, I walked in her room to talk to her, and she just said this.
Are you crazy? Is that your problem?
Yeah, I'm like, God. Yeah.
But despite the fact that she's not happy with me live streaming as much as I do, she's still willing to participate in the big show, which this is. This is the big show. And so...
Well, no, it was the 4-hour conversation you had online the other night.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's what sent me over the edge.
Okay. Well,
that's all right.
It was like a long phone call that got carried away.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway.
And you live to tell the tale. So.
Here's our last video production of the 1,000 sub show.
We saved
the best for last. Let me get rid of that so we have a full
all things in
screen.
Moderation, yes.
All things in moderation.
Okay.
Oh, so sit back and enjoy this.
The things I do that he forced. Okay.
It's not quite as good as the Shelley tap dance number, but it's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. I have told you 1,000 times. I spent $1,000 on this. Oh my gosh. There must have been like 1,000 people there. It's so hot. Tony Stark was only successful one out of 1,000 times. Man, he's hot. Oh my gosh, 1001 Dalmatians is my favorite movie.
It's 101.
Whatever.
So there you go.
I told him what will be
Shelley's
the first time
Thousands.
or the last time my face is red.
Shelley's Thousands.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
Let's
What?
get some of the stuff that wouldn't be melty, like the Mike and Ike's and the
All right.
Swedish Fish.
All right.
This is gonna bring back my childhood memories.
I'm so glad. The after, yes, statistical zero. I often have those, especially him and
See, I told you they'd love it.
the after conversations you have with David Williams. Oh yeah, talent.
Mm-hmm. Josh says Swedish Fish are the best, so we better crack that open too.
All right. Peer pressure. But no, seriously, that's really good. 1,000 people.
Now see, you know Swedish Fish is a higher quality because it's not only is it in a box, but it has its own little bag too. That you can,
I know, but it's like
keep it fresh.
shipping, or what is it, like contents may have settled. All right, I'm just going to chew this one right on the filed down cram.
You're gonna start screaming in pain.
There's tropical Swedish Fish.
I have not seen that movie in ages, but it is funny.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen Used Cars with Kurt Russell?
I don't do a lot of movies anymore.
Well, it was like 1980.
Well, I know, but we used to do a lot of movies. But yeah, okay, so tropical.
Would that be like multi-fruit flavored kind of thing if they were
Maybe.
tropical?
Jolly Rancher sour gummies are good.
Hmm. You know, it'd be appropriate to play right now.
Oh yeah.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
We'll have you know that it's so warm in the studio that we're not going to be able to eat these because they're melting.
No, we gotta put them in the freezer so we can eat them later, like you do with your leftover Halloween candy. Well, we
You
don't
had
do that anymore.
leftovers?
Well, when we
I
were
don't know if they had
kids.
leftovers.
Then you when you get like the big. Did you ever go out with like a pillowcase to collect
Probably.
candy? And you didn't like separate it out when you came back, and then you'd freeze some of it and keep some of it out. You ever did that?
I remember our dentist told my mom it was better if we just ate it all at once for our teeth. It would just be better. So
Get it
they
over
just said,
with?
go for it. Yeah,
Wow.
I know. All right. So what else? What else you got? What else you got?
That's really it, because the timing's perfect. Because I told Mark to come in at about 5:30, and
there
we're
you
at
go.
5:29, so he should be here any minute. So really, all we have to do is stall for time or until he shows up.
Pina colada flavor. Oh.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about what? Like White Claw pina colada, or is he talking about like gummy fish or something?
I think so. The candy. Now, Jeff, I should went to your dentist.
Mills the Crown right in his office, so you don't have to wait 2
temporary thing
weeks.
was just stupid. But yeah, I have 2 days of pretty good pain in my neck and my jaw. So today's not too bad.
So she's really excited to go back. Although it shouldn't be too much of a chore to glue that thing on, right?
No, but then what I have to look forward to for the rest of the month is getting 6 nerve roots burned in my neck. So it's going to be a fun month. But you know, in July, I think we spent about $4,500 on teeth. I am like so excited.
Then my daughter got her wisdom teeth. Well, our daughter got her wisdom teeth pulled out. You had this major oral surgery thing.
Oral surgery, no. They just drilled in my head for...
That sounds like major surgery to me. They're like drilling in your head.
No blood involved,
No.
at least for me.
Well, you were asleep.
They might have some next time, but I wasn't asleep. I was just laying there.
We were not-
Tears.
Wow.
No, they used to numb my... Have you never had a crown?
Actually, I have. But I don't remember. I was asleep. I said, wake me up when you're
All
done.
right, do the jellyfish look. Do the jellyfish look. You need the jellyfish look.
All right.
All right.
Well, looks like Mark has rolled in.
Woo!
So let me give a
All right.
proper introduction to him, if I may. Let's clear the board.
And I'll be out for a bit then. You guys can do your thing. I'm just going to take this extra White
She's taking the
Claw
White
with
Claw
me
with her,
while
so
I
she's taking
go.
both White Claws. And you might want to toss those in the old refrigeration device, and
Okay.
we'll eat those guys
Got
later.
it.
Well, joining me now is a guy's work. I just love his work. He does incredible creature design. He does incredible world designing. And he does just some of the weirdest, freakiest illustrations you'll ever see. The guy does black and white. He does color. He's worked in comics. He's taught school. He's been an art director. We're talking about a guy who's done everything. And if you don't know who Mark Nelson is, you're about to find out. So with a big round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Mark Nelson. Mark, there you are. Welcome.
Wow. You know, I would have just gone for a bunch of Swedish fish, but you got me worried because you're going, well, alcohol and candy, so you're on the ceiling both ways. And I'm thinking, well, you know, I could probably do you a pretty good crappy cover too.
No, my wife's the only one combining the sugar and the alcohol, so she's going to be bouncing off the wall here pretty soon. But I'm just going for the sugar and water, so more of a basic.
Oh, good.
Right, seriously, thank you for joining me. Now, you, as we talked about earlier, you used to be a Chicago guy. Now you're sort of an outside of Houston kind of guy, living in a much hotter, more humid climate, I would imagine, down there.
Hello, Shelley.
Hi. Do you want me to do this again?
Okay. She encourages him to, or he encourages her to hit me in. She's more than willing to oblige.
I've installed bad family temperament.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy.
Thank you, Shelley, for your co-hosting. All right.
Yes, sir.
So let's get into it. Let's not screw around. Let's get into it.
Well, what do you want to get into? I mean,
I'll tell you. I'm gonna bring up an image now. I'm sorry. I'm picking Swedish fish out of my teeth on air. It's probably not the. Wow, what a host.
Well, better that than beer, you know, rings and tabs and things. Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if I had a little barbecue going here all over my hands? It'd be terrible.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. 'Cause you're the one of those guys that holds the coals in his fingers and then roasts the hamburger up here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait a minute, I lost my
There you
screen. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Aha.
Most people, and I say most people, I mean me, because I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm going to say most people probably, this is their first introduction to you on a big scale, don't you think? And this was, of course, the very, very, very first Alien series from Dark Horse. And you were the penciler and inker on that. And I believe Mark Verheiden was the writer.
Yes, sir. And Willie Schubert lettering.
Okay. So this happened at about what, 1988, I want to say?
Oh, it was so long ago. I forgot.
Let's go with it. I do know it was 1988. I was just acting like I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Well, you probably know more about my history than I do because I live it and the alcohol slows up my memory.
Oh, man. All right. So give us the story. How did this come about? Because you had been working pretty primarily in the independent market, correct, before this?
I can tell you how it kind of happened, which was really interesting, was I was working at First Comics in Chicago. I was doing a backup on Nexus called Clone Zone that Mike Barron was writing, and we did a Godzilla spoof. And the funny thing about it is it really was sort of, you know, Clone Zone is sort of a funny animal in space story.
Mm-hmm.
So the art director, Randy Stradley, saw my Godzilla and asked me if I'd want to do some Godzilla covers. So I went, sure. And then after I did that, he offered me some, doing some Dark Horse Presents, doing some little short stories. So I did some of those. And then they said, would you be interested in a secret project? And I went, sure. And it turns out it was aliens. So I did 3 sample pages that they then sent in the 20th Century Fox, and they got approved. So that was the start of the whole aliens book. And when we were first talking about it, they were saying, well, we're probably going to run only 40,000 because most black and white books don't sell that much. But with I guess the heat or something that they were getting, they jumped it to 60 for the first printing, and the first issue went to 6 printings, I think.
Wow.
So
that book blew up. That book blew up, and that really kind of put Dark Horse on the map as a power player in the independent market. I remember that because we kind of caught everybody by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, it did gangbusters for everybody involved. I mean, it set a lot of stuff in work for everybody. I mean, well, when I say everybody, I mean, Dark Horse is a big, and then with Verheyden, who wrote the rest of the series when they changed the artists and worked on that, then he wrote a bunch of other things, and then now he's gone on and is writing. He wrote Daredevil, in the Marvel universe for the TV show.
Right.
He's worked on some other really great stuff, Swamp Thing. Excuse me, and forgive me, Mark, I don't always keep everything straight. Darn it. He worked on Evil Dead, Ash. He worked on that too.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's a legit question. How long did it take to draw that? Do you even have a recollection of how much time you spent on this? Because that's duotone there in the black and white, correct?
Yeah. That's actually is faster with the duotone for me, actually, and I'm really sad that they quit making it. But I don't keep track of my time because I think if I did, I would probably put a gun to my head.
I'm not making any money.
There's only one frontispiece in the Aliens book that I can tell you exactly how much time I had to draw it because I was fired up and having to furiously finish it before Federal Express could come and pick it up.
Oh man, those were the days.
So, yeah, those are the days. Now you mail everything out, so that's even better.
Can you give us go ahead.
I don't. Time is, relative to some things because, sometimes a cover, and you might probably agree with this. Sometimes a cover just pops out of you like nothing, and you go, "Wow, that was easy."
Yeah.
And there's those times when you're just fighting tooth and nail and redrawing, redesigning, erasing a hand, erasing a face, erasing this, redrawing that. So it's.
Can you give me just a brief explanation of exactly what duotone is and how it works?
The old duotone paper, you got it, and it was on Bristol board, and they printed 2 line screens on it, going perpendicular. I'm trying to get my fingers right like that.
Yeah.
And you'd apply 2 chemicals. One chemical would bring up the light gray line, which is just the 1 stroke, and the second chemical would bring up both strokes. Now, the second stroke appears, if you can kind of see it a little bit, it's brown-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But when you shoot a stat of it, in the old days, the stats just went to black.
Oh, really?
They didn't pick up the non-photo blue because that's what the stat camera was designed for.
Right.
So it was either black or white. And this is an old, the duotone, duo shade, that has a couple different names. And it was used, Wally Wood used it in the EC comics. The political cartoonists used to use it a lot, Oliphant and different people. And Roy Crane used it in Buzz Sawyer,
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a beautiful way of working because you can kind of get a middle tone, and if you want to, you can take your whites out with some white out, or you can build things, and then you're going in those 2 shades of dark. And for me, it was a real easy way of thinking. I think that way.
Right.
It was a nice process. I'm sorry it's gone.
So you didn't actually, did you ink this with line, or did you just bring out the dark lines in the board with a brush?
It brought out the lines in the board, so I didn't have to ink them or anything.
So you penciled this, and then you would go in with your brush and your chemicals, and whether you wanted a gray or a black, right?
Well, yeah, I would go in and I would generally do most of the inking on the figures, get everything done. Then I could come in and develop my lights and darks.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, I would put all the little sparkly highlights on the alien with whiteout. So,
Now, did you color this cover as well?
I'm sorry?
Did you color this cover as well?
Yes, I colored the first two, but that one is not my colors. They made adjustments on it. There's another one that I've got that I could, I'm not going to go.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, is it more, were you just kind of, because you've already established your values and your lights and darks, your grays, were you just laying basically flat color over the top of that and allowing the values that you've already established to create the volume in it?
Well, the one thing now, which I love, is obviously if I could recolor these things in Photoshop, there's so much stuff you can do because you've got an underlayment, you got the black lines up. This had to be done 256 color. So you have that color chart that you went by, and you kind of watercolored it in for the values and the things you wanted.
Right.
You'd have to write the numbers down and send it on. And then that would be cut by another, the printing house, which would cut all the films and put it back together. So you couldn't do a lot with certain things, fades and layering of color just right out, because really, when you start even thinking of 256 to 512 color, it seems like a lot, but it's not. And when you look at the old marble colors, those guys had less, and they really had to use their color they had to be very selective, And
right. I colored one project at Marvel way back in maybe 90. And I did a story for the humor book, What The? And I did this Star Trek parody with Forbish Man. And I told my editor, because I wrote it, I penciled it, I inked it. I said, let me color this. And boy, what a pain in the butt. I think we got like $20 a page to color it or something like that, 15 or 20 bucks. And it took me forever. And I was like, I'm never doing this again, Yeah,
because I know I colored a bunch of stuff with the 256, and now that I can do it in Photoshop, that's where I'm having way too much fun, and it's great.
All right, you sent me, let me bring up something else now. You sent me this, and I'm curious for since we're on aliens, we'll go right to this.
Oh, did you print the new cover, the one with the girl? Show that one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do this first.
Okay.
Quit trying to take over my show, Mark. What are you doing? Jeez. No, you sent me this, so I want you to explain this.
Oh, well, I kind of actually did the text on that for you, because when you look at it and read it, it was when the 30th anniversary of Aliens came out. They asked me to write, they asked Mark to write a little thing about, working on the project and doing this and that. So this was my take on it, and it starts off at the first panel, goes ring, goes, hello, Mark. Yes. This is Randy. Would you like to work on some Godzilla covers? I love to draw monsters. Next one is, hello, Mark. Yes. This is Randy. Would you like to do some, Dark Horse Presents stories? I love to draw monsters, Then it's like, ring. Hello, Mark. Yes. This is Mike and Randy. Would you like to work on a new secret project? ... Aliens. Hold, please. Click. Wowzer. Click. Sounds good. I love to draw monsters. And the last one was, hello. It's me calling Randy. He didn't sound like that. Yes. The script is great. Mark has outdone himself, and I can't wait to see Willie's lettering. And I love to draw monsters. And then I just say, thank you, Mike and Randy, and the rest of the Dark Horse gang. It was a fantastic ride. And then the aliens are all coming in, and I go, maybe I should have drawn cute animals. And then it says down there, oh, I can't even read it now. about being a younger, this was done by the older bear, not the younger, handsome one that drew the comic.
Right.
So, I mean, it's, I mean, as you know, it's weird because when I worked at Marvel, I got to work on the Clive Barker stuff. I inked some Spider-Man, I inked some X-Men, the superhero stuff. But I was in the whole horror end that they were doing, which I kind of really loved. And I'm not a good superhero guy, I mean, if you need a monster with a bunch of pimples, I'm your guy. But, if I have to draw all those, when I looked at the guys that do superhero stuff, I just go, holy cow, I can't do that.
It is kind of funny that there's guys that just stylistically, like Mark Schultz is another guy that, that just does wonderful illustration, and his Xenozoic Tales is amazing. But as a superhero artist, it's like stylistically, it's just not the right fit,
Yeah.
But okay, so now this is the newer, shall we say?
Did I send you I guess I didn't send you a finished one, did I?
No, I can only show one at a time, though.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Well,
you know me, I'm taking over.
See, I want everybody in the chat to know this is why it's taken me this long to have Mark on. He tries to take over your show. He's like a usurper. He's just he's like Conan the Barbarian taking over.
Boy, eat some more Swedish fish.
It's the sugar that's getting to me. All right, now Mark, explain this to me.
This is a rough, and when I did this cover, I did like 2 or 3 roughs. And what I do is obviously it's in blue pencil.
Mm-hmm.
I can scan that into Photoshop, and I can either move other pieces in, move things around, and then I just take the blue pencil and desaturate it, darken it a little bit, so then it becomes the line work you see on the other side, and that's a little color comp that I did for it. I did 2 color comps and I think 3 cover sketches.
Now, so you colored this color comp you did in Photoshop. Basically, you scanned the blue pencil and then you did your color comp in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Let's take a look at the
finished piece.
Yes. Let me dig it up here, though.
Well, the thing, I have to admit, as an artist, I look at the stuff that we all have to do, and everything is a tool, to get you to that finished product. I mean, I love doing marker renderings and things like that, but they're fugitive and they're going to fade and they're going to go away. But I can do those same marker things so quickly and so fast in Photoshop and cut masks and change values and do different things. So I'm fast with that stuff in Photoshop. So the color comps and things like that really have been kind of fun to do in Photoshop for me also, because, I mean, I paint in watercolor, oils, and acrylics, but, there's something about the Photoshop that you can do so much with textures and colors and overlay that if I try to do that in paint or in acrylic, I would be, again, putting a gun to my head or swinging in the closet,
Mm-hmm.
It's each tool you have access to, like a brush and a crow quill are not the same, tool. The brush gives you a whole different kind of expressive line.
Sure.
Crow quill gives you such a beautiful line that can be very fine and it can be very consistent. It can also have variation, and the same thing with the brush, but the variation in your brush is just incredible as far as, thick to thin.
Okay. So did you use the blue line? That was a pretty tight blue line that you did.
Yeah.
Now, on this finished piece, did you ink this traditionally and then scan it, or did you just use the blue line and ink on digitally and color it digitally?
I'm still kind of an old monster that way, and I did, I blew up the blue line to full size. I traced it down lightly, and then I repenciled the whole thing, and then inked it, and then colored it in Photoshop.
Okay, very nice.
So, yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I still love the touching of the brush on the paper and the quill on the paper,
Mm-hmm.
the sound and the feel of that. And I think that when I work digitally, I don't mind the color. But the thing that happens in a lot of cases to me, it's like no matter what you do, it's a very similar stroke. Even though I'm on a Wacom and you've got 512 or 1024 pressure points, it still feels the same. So if you make an ink line, it's going to be kind of consistent. You know what I'm getting at?
Mhm.
Whereas if you hit that paper, sometimes the brush gets a little dry, or a quill will catch and drag a little bit, or it has a different. I kind of like that feel because I also like the feel that sometimes you make some mistakes and then you have to go back in and correct them or draw over them, or it's a little more human process to me.
Well, there's also the original art too. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I I hardly do anything. I color digitally, but I don't draw digitally. I haven't done any digital art in my life yet. And it to me, it's kind of like I want that original when I produce a piece. I want that original, whether you sell it or keep it. To me, if you do the 100% digitally, you've got this drawing in cyberspace, but it doesn't really exist. I mean, you could print it out, but it's not. That's a print. That's not the artwork, you know. So
Yeah.
that's the things that is important to me. I mean, I like the traditional working because, well, basically both you and I, that's how we were trained. That's what we do. But I also really enjoy the fact that I have an original piece of artwork, at least black and white, that I can, either keep or use, to sell, to pay a bill or something.
Well, the other thing too, and this is just me, I've tried to draw digitally, with Cintiqs on the Wacom, and it's just irritating. I'm just so much faster on paper because I've got 40 years of experience on that sheet of paper.
Yeah.
When you're doing digitally, the hardest part for me is realizing how big it actually is, because you can blow stuff up, you can shrink back in, you can do all this stuff. So you're working away, and then all of a sudden you go get back to full size. You're going, wow, I've just spent 2 hours rendering the hair on the back of a beetle's butt, on some tree branch that you're never going to see. And you're going, oops, So I think it is that kind of thing when you've got the real thing underneath your hand. You're kind of you've got that whole, okay, here it
Yeah,
is. There's the size.
right,
Yeah,
right.
what's important, what's not. Because
Right.
I know when I'm even working digitally in color, I blow stuff up, and I know I'm working on such tight stuff that when it gets printed, I know a lot of it will disappear. But that's the anal retentive bear in me.
Right. Well, you're not the only one. So, Mark, Matt Hepp asks, Mark, what's your favorite thing to draw from D and D? Do you have a?
When people always ask, and I love it, and Matt, please don't get mad. People always say, "What's your favorite thing?" or "What's your favorite movie?" "What's your favorite book?" And I'll say, "My favorite movie." I say, "What genre?" Western, science fiction, horror, drama, comedy, animated, blah, 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 blah. And working with D&D was a great thing because I got to do a lot of the monster manuals when I was working with them. So they came at me with so much stuff that was just really, on one hand, so much fun because they would just say, okay, this is a predatorial bird that lives in a branch and does blah, 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 blah. And I get that. Or you get things like the one that killed me the most was, okay, we're going to give you something that's really horrifying. We're giving you the horror issue dragon, and you have to draw death pillowcases. And sometimes you go, maybe I'll just shoot myself now. But it's like anything else. It's the challenge, and that's what always made it fun. Because if you go back and look at the time period when I was working on them, I worked on almost every single thing from drawing ninjas to robots to monsters to insects to this to that. And I love drawing monsters and I love drawing creatures and I love that. But then it's also kind of fun. I did a whole book on just armor, the different types of armor. And that was fun because I learned so much. So I guess I kind of look at the drawing is a challenge. So whatever they throw at me, I try to do the best I can. Now, when it's me drawing my own stuff, that's a completely different story because then I can go completely bonkers because, people say, I worry about what's running around in your head when they see a lot of my drawings.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a second, because I have something I want to show and then ask you. Just what the heck is that? And let me preface that question by saying, this is why I love your stuff so much. You have this ability to create monsters or creatures that I look at and say, I have never seen anything like that. So where does this come from? Where is the inspiration? Are you using like shellfish or something and then messing around, or is this just all out of your imagination?
There's a couple really good artists art that I've been stealing everything from. No, I'm sorry. I had to say that. People that do know me know that when you come to the studio or the house, it's very eclectic. I have seashells, I have insects, I've got dinosaur toys. I'm probably could have become a vet or, a biologist because I just love doing research. So when you sit down and like this guy here is a guard. Now, when you think about that, when you think even about something like termites, there are guard termites that have these huge pincers, and they sit on the outside of the mound. So if it's attacked by something, they're the ones that bite and protect. But their pincers are so big, their mandibles are so big that they have to be fed by the other termites or they die. So when I sit down and I start looking at nature, I mean, I've probably got a head full of the most worthless nature information you ever want. We can go to the bar and I'll put you to sleep in 10 minutes. But that runs around my head. I can't remember my 4-digit PIN number, but I can tell you the sexual orientation of dragonflies, which is scary. So
this is a family show, Mark. So watch it, right? But so when you're creating something like this, are you thinking, do you like you're saying about research? Do you research it out front and say, okay, who is this character? He would have mandibles because of this, or do you just start drawing and pull stuff from your mind and say, it'd look really cool if he had an eye like this, or is this like a ton of research before you go in and start creating this?
Well, let me point out one thing. If you do look at it, if you look at his left hand, he's missing a little bit of his pinky there because he accidentally cut it off with his axe. So yes, I kind of I do create stories. I do create things. But what you're talking about, and this is what I'm going to say, is that you and I have worked in the comic book field or in illustration or things like that, where people come at you and they say, we want you to draw a room. And in that room is 10 people, and they give you a description of each person, right? And they say, this person's doing this person's doing that, give me an illustration. So, we go back to the table and we sit down and we work on all that stuff. We get that done. Now, the surrealists, when you talk about Dali, Hans Bellmer, and a bunch of other artists, they did something called automatic drawing, where they would just put the pencil down on the paper and start drawing. And then as the drawing progressed, they, in a sense, if you really think about it, had a conversation with themselves and the drawing and what they wanted to solve with the drawing. So I'm one of these terrible people that if you want me to make up a story about this guy, I can do that. And in some cases, a lot of the characters, yes, I really sit down, I do a lot of research, and then I figure them out. And in some cases, I do exactly what you said. I just sit down on a piece of paper and I start drawing, and it's, the mood I'm in. If I'm humorous, if I'm, in a good mood, if I'm a little bit in a dark mood. So things sort of, I just let those things happen now for my own work, because this is personal work,
Right.
And I love things like with tattoos, body piercing, because if you think about it, if you were a gecko, how are you going to differentiate yourself from other geckos? So body piercing, the leathers you wear, you could get some strange tattoos, you could be doing different things. We have scarification. There's all these things that you could deal with that could be kind of fun. So that's the other thing about it is as you create these cultures and as you create different kinds of creatures, you start asking yourself, where would these guys eat? Where would they be bottom feeding? What would they do? Like I want to do a whole sequence where the hero is human and he's talking to some giant lizard guy who's just like eating these, squirming raw rats, gulping them down and offering them one, and you're like going, we'd be like, oh my God. But to him, that's a great delicacy. So I do so much research on different cultures, different things. You think about sushi and how the Japanese prepare food versus, this person and that. And you got the American meat and potatoes guy, a piece of steak and a tater. If you go beyond that, they start to shake,
Mm-hmm.
So who's right? I just think it's a great smorgasbord of ideas to pull from.
Well,
Is that my long-winded answer? Does that help? Or?
that's great. No, just say Apex Comics says Mark Nelson is a perfect guest for your celebration episode because you may be the ultimate monster guy. Old man says I expect that axe to be alive and have a story of its own. There's so much detail in it. And that's kind of an interesting thing about your work. Let me switch up and get a new picture up here.
Okay.
While we're talking. But
you're hitting a nail on the head. I don't need to really say anything because when you think about that, when you think about the Vikings, okay, they lived in certain areas, but they traveled. So all their wealth they carried with them in their, their ornamentation on their capes and the type of sword they had, which could be engraved beautifully, the handles and this and that. So that was where all their personal wealth really went to,
Right.
You and I are sitting in our studios with our computers, our CD players, our DVD players, our life-size alien figures that growl at you or something, we have a different material mindset, but if we were nomadic, where would you put your money,
Well, that's good. Well, it's just, it's amazing. It seems so obvious when you put it like that, but it's, I don't know that a lot of people put that much thought into everything they do. And apparently, obviously, in your work, you do, and you've got to be a guy that loves detail, right? You have to be, because every single one of your pieces is just full of information. So you've got to love doing that detail work. Am I right?
I think so. So I'm kind of the exact opposite. Now I sit down and I look at someone, and like Mike Mignola, whose work, or Alex Toth.
Right.
And I go, those beep, 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 beep. They know how to get what is exactly important. So when I was talking with Mike at once, he just said, I'm thinking about drawing the least to get the most.
Right.
And that is such an incredible thought process. And when I was drawing Clone Zone, Mike Barron said that to me. He said, I want it to feel Disney-esque. And if you look at how simple the Disney line is, but yet it conveys so much. And I can do that only for so long because I just go, I got to get some texture in here. Yeah. I just got to have some, I love surface, I love texture, and I love the detail. And there's times when I just do really simple line drawings and people go, why don't you just leave it there? And once in a while I go, okay, and I do. But it's just kind of like, I'm just kind of like, okay, we can get another layer of slather on this beast. I'm okay,
I've addressed this issue a couple times, and what I've come to realize, or at least for me personally, and I think it's probably true, is that we develop our artistic eye through years and years of practice and different artists that we look at and that we gravitate to stylistically. And so you get trained in your mind that I've got to put X amount of detail into this drawing or it doesn't look finished or it doesn't look good. You can look at someone else's art that may be very simple and say, that's brilliant and I love it, but you can't force yourself to do it because it doesn't look right to you when you do it.
Well, now, the other thing that I'll be honest about is that my degrees are in the fine arts, and I was a printmaker. So if you sit down and you look at a Rembrandt etching, and I'm not talking about looking at it in a book. I'm talking about go to the museum and look at the damn thing, because when you're biting and rebiting, as they call it, into that plate, you create depths where that ink goes in and comes out. So you actually create a value of dark line. And you look at his stuff and it'll just knock your socks off. And the same thing with Albert Dürer. So those are guys that I sort of cut my eye teeth with. And then you go to people like Al Williamson and Virgil Finlay, and you go to all the guys working in the black and white worn and creepy stuff.
Mhm.
And then you go to all the guys working in the underground comics like Greg Irons and Corbin. And these guys were, incredible with the amount of detail and the surface and the quality of what they did.
Mhm.
So I fell in love with that kind of stuff, but that's why I say I can't knock anybody, like Kevin Nolan is just, he makes my brain just wrap up and want to leap out of my head. It's just brilliant stuff. And when I see good, it doesn't make a difference. I don't have to see people drawing like me, but I love to see people that are in love with their work and pushing themselves to create, the best stuff. I mean, you look at even Joe Kubert from when he started, you could just see how much he liked drawing comics. And by the end, his work was so expressive and so beautiful. And then I look at someone like Lee Weeks that I sort of consider him, he's that next step of Kubert, where he's got a little more drawing in it, a little more of this and that. And he doesn't have quite and I don't want to use this in a bad way, but I would say Joe is a very visceral inker.
Yes.
I think Lee is a little bit more controlled, but
Mhm.
man, you just see those pages and you look at that artwork and you go, damn.
Yep.
And it's the same thing when you look at Schultz, you look at Williamson.
Mhm.
I've just been reorganizing my books in my library, the art books, and I have so many European albums and so many European artists that I just love, and old people, the Franklin Booth, the Roy Crinkles, and I can just name names and names, but it's like, I can't remember if it was you I was talking about that, but it was like, you look at someone like Frazetta, then you say, okay, Frazetta did some incredible pen and ink work. He did this, he did that. Who taught Frazetta? And then you're going, okay, then there's Roy Crinkle. Okay, then who taught Crinkle? Where did he go? And you find yourself backtracking, and you keep finding all these magnificent artists that have influenced people in so many different ways, And there's just so many good comic book artists. There's great illustrators out there. There's great painters. There's, I wish I could do it all, but you just can't. But
Well,
God.
let me ask you, let's get more directed here. And what exactly are we looking at here? What is this from? This is obviously a comic book page.
Excuse me. Now now that I've had my sip of water and no sugar, I will have to give you a straight answer.
Hey, I'm eating enough sugar for both of us, so you don't need to worry about that.
Well, I guess I'll have to go in the house and get some bourbon and come back out.
There you go.
Excuse me. This is a page from Thunder Hunters. And Thunder Hunters is a book. It's a personal book that I'm working on now. And hopefully someday I'll get the Kickstarter going, or we'll get something to work out. But the top panel is what it is. It's set up in this world. And there's two stories about this lion creature. There's one that this one is involved in, and then there's another one on how that guy evolved into what he did. So I'm setting up this world where an artist has gone out into unexplored territory, the way that, someone like Audubon did, and George Catlin, who we were talking about before, just they took their paints, they took their kit, and 1877, they were out in the middles of North America painting the tribes and the indigenous people, and hopefully not getting killed, because they didn't, because they brought the artwork back. So this artist is J.V. Holbrook, and he has gone into that same kind of world. So that first piece you showed would be like he'd meet royalty, and that's one of the guards that would be guarding the royalty. This is a story in which he's now collecting their myths and their, things that they pass on verbally or whatever, and he's making visual stories about those things. So this is one of the stories. It's called Eyes, and what it's about is, I don't know if I want to give it away, but
Well, let me ask you this then instead. So is this book going to have a series of short stories from this guy's perspective that
Yeah.
like his different adventures? So it's not like it is a long narrative, but you've got different experiences. Each one would make up a graphic story. Is that correct?
when I was laying it out originally, what there'd be 3 stories per issue, and then about 4 or 5 of those big figurative pieces. So the short stories could be really simple things about a tribe, or a longer one. This one, and I won't hurt this, but you see there's those giant jellyfish that are coming back.
Right.
And in this world, they go along these tracks in the earth, and they're picking up the salts and the minerals. I mean, again, this is so much backstory. It isn't worth, a hill of beans half the time.
Just the fact that you put all that thought and work into these characters, that it's not like, oh, I'm going to have some desert jellyfish and then drew them. It's like, I have desert jellyfish and they're going to extract salt and they're going to do this. They're going to be able to do this. I just think it's mind numbing. Not only the detail you put in your work visually, but the detail you put into the thought process of creating this stuff is it's amazing. So anyway, go ahead.
Wow. You sure you're talking to me?
Yeah, look at this. This is incredible. So
well, anyway, so this is the first page, and this is the scout that then warns the rest of the tribe that the jellyfish are coming. They've returned. And the rest of the tribe then sets up these traps to hunt these jellyfish and sort of capture their tentacles, and then they chop them up, and then they sell bits and pieces. And it would be like if you and I were chasing buffalo and we had a meat packing company. These guys are doing jellyfish packing. So, but these are a little bit more deadly than the buffalo. So there's a lot of other things in there that are kind of interesting.
So when you're, I assume then when you're doing your environments, right? Your the villages or where these creatures live and just these alien worlds and stuff. I assume that you're going, like in the previous page we looked at, that maybe you looked at some Aztec stuff or something and sort of did a variation on that to kind of create a world. So is there
well,
like this stuff, like these hills and these mountains in the background here with the trees on them and stuff, almost to me reminds me of a Yes album cover from the 70s, And so I'm wondering, are you drawing inspiration for this kind of stuff, or is this just sort of stuff that's ingrained in you that you kind of thought, okay, this will look cool, I'm going to do this? Or are you drawing from other sources and kind of then manipulating those sources to create a world? I know that's a complex question, but I'm so fascinated by your vision.
It's a great question. Humorously, I would answer it this way. To steal from one is plagiarism. To steal from many is research. Okay. Now, you mentioned Roger Dean, and that was the stuff I grew up with that. But also, if you look at it, it has a lot of the same kind of feel of the Serengeti in Africa.
Right.
Which is something that I love. And as far as the Aztec and everything, I mean, let's put it this way. My studio has 33 bookcases in it, and they're just stuffed and packed. And people come over and go, you've got more books here than most used bookstores do. And, if you say to me, I need a book on typewriters designed from the 1800s, I've probably got it. I know I do. But the thing is that, again, when you're older, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have that kind of research easily available, that I can now sit down here and I can type in the savanna of Mambia, and I can get specific things and specific trees and specific, back, I remember when I get jobs at TSR and I had to do one in Australia with a baobab tree. And I go, what the heck is a baobab tree? And I had to go to the library, check out a book on trees, look it up. Now, excuse me, now you can just type that in and get, 150 hits,
Right. Right.
I still like doing that old research. Excuse me again. Sorry. I still love doing that old research and doing it, the book thing, because the one thing that I found is that in the books, I will find images that are not on the internet. I will find things in the books that are really kind of intriguing that makes me think more about different things. So, yeah, I mean, it really is, I love to do my research, and it doesn't bother me. And that's why whenever I see like most of the contemporary monsters in movies now, I am so tired of the big, long, same size, sharp, pointy teeth mouth that I have a hard time with it. And there's one movie, I won't say what it is, but they had this queen that had to be fed by all her little minions who would, capture all the guys and then throw them into the queen. But the queen had the biggest, sharpest teeth of anyone. Well, if she's got those teeth, why does she need to be fed?
Right.
And I'm looking at this stuff and I go, I mean, I won't fault it because, Geiger created some incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you really think about it, Cameron stepped off that to design the queen and created an incredible creature.
Yeah.
And people just can't seem to get away from everything's got to have sharp, pointy teeth, whereas you look at Lamprey.
It's scarier though, right? I mean, we are talking about horror films here. So, maybe there's a kind of, somebody like you might be sitting there and designs this really cool monster, and the director comes in and goes, no, we need sharp teeth in there. We need sharp teeth.
but you also got to remember that, I come from that generation where they had a movie called Attack of the Giant Leeches, and I swear it was a guy in a giant garbage bag, googly eyes, and this little round mouth, and it was horrifyingly bad. Or Attack of the Killer Shrews, where they drape blankets practically over dogs. And so I've come from some really bad stuff. But the thing is that you can make something horrifying. And actually, the creature in Alien, the first movie, was horrifying because you didn't see him.
Right.
You just saw these little bits and these things. And then all of a sudden, when he became humanoid, he wasn't quite as spooky as when you couldn't quite make him out, Yeah. And he had a couple sharp canines, but he had blunt teeth too. I think, there's a lot of monsters that are really Christopher Lee is the Frankenstein monster in one of the Hammer films. He doesn't have sharp, pointy teeth, but he's got that white, gummy face and that bad eye, and you're just going, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Or is it horrifying when you think about something? People go, "Oh, piranhas are terrifying." Well, when you look at that fish, you don't see much of his teeth because it's all covered in flesh. It's just the little tips are sticking out. And when you see the ones that have these big, sharp, pointy teeth, somebody has actually cut the gums off around them because you don't see them.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to any more pictures up there with Echo. Is that me or you?
Okay. Old Dirty Fatty says, do I have a sketchbook? Yes, I've got a couple things out that you can, if you go to grazingdinosaurpress.com, I have a bookstore with a couple things in there.
That's Crazy Dinosaur Press.
Crazy Dinosaur Press, yes.com. Thank you. It's a good thing Aaron's here. You see, I'm not even drinking and I can't get it right.
Well, there's a couple of links also, you guys, in the YouTube underneath the description here to Mark's regular Facebook page, and then his the what do we just say, the dinosaur, what is it called, the
Grazing Dinosaur Press.
Yeah, to your Facebook page. It's Grazing Dinosaur Press Facebook page. So there's a couple of links there as well. Let's take a look at a couple more comment section here and see. Got a lot of congratulations for my 1,000th show. Thank you, or 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Took a while, but we got there. Let's see.
He's laughing.
Targaryen says the Blob is toothless. There you go.
He's right, and that's in that movie when the Steve McQueen one, where they pull that off and the hand is the skeleton. That was terrifying as a kid. And the remake, they did something in that movie that I still to this day can't believe. They killed a kid, and that was gruesome. They really did a great job with that. It created a mood that you were just like, this thing knows, it's going to eat everything and anything.
Right, doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
Now here I got something I want to take a look at, because it's not stylistically different, but technique wise, you're doing something a little different here, and I want to kind of this and take a look at it. All right. This is not from the same book. This is
yes,
from,
it is.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Because the other thing is, and this is me, and I think when you've talked to me, this, that I work in a lot of different kinds of mediums. And this is gray paper with, just white pencil, which is sort of like, in a sense, the duotone kind of thing. But I really, when I was doing Thunder Hunters in my mind, I said, I want to do some of it like traditional ink and color. I want to do some of these tone papers. I want to do wash drawings. I want to work with brown inks. I just want to use everything that I like and put it together in a book and tell these stories.
So basically, your gray paper is your mid-tone. You went in with pencil, did the drawing, then you went in with white pencil over the top of that to establish your highlights.
Right.
Now, so then you would scan this and then color it in Photoshop, correct? Would that be your...
No, sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't. Like the figurative pieces that you saw, and you'll probably pop one up later with the Broken Angels, those are done this way, and then I'm adding color on top of that. Mm-hmm. This one's just going to stay as a black and white story. Okay,
so the whole story is going to go like this. It's going to be all gray like this. Now, how many pages do you envision this project being, and how much of it is already complete at this point?
Way too much. I could probably do a 250-page book with all of it, but I don't think anybody would be willing to pay the freight for that. So, like you and what we're always talking about is, what do you do? So I'm going to try and release them out, as
No, I interrupted you right there by putting that. You're going to release them as like a couple of books as opposed to one huge volume. Yeah. Okay. So this is our guy here, the explorer down there drawing this stuff, right? I see him down there in the rocks. Okay.
And when people ask me about stuff, I think about it because that cactus right down in the lower left-hand side, our viewing left-hand side, is actually a cactus that I grew in our yard. So I use that as a reference.
It looks like that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're beautiful down here. You can get some great succulents.
It looks like an alien, like some sort of alien plant or something that you would see on another planet. Wow.
Well, that's why I'm lucky. Anita is a gardener, and she drags me kicking and screaming to these plant places. But she's stopped doing it because I'm always going, that's really neat. We should have one of those. I'm one of those people that can kill anything, You go, here is, someone gave me an air plant. And I said, well, what do they need? Nothing, just air. I said, no, they can't be that. Yeah, mine died.
Your green thumb, huh?
Yeah.
But so look at the detail down here. You got a fossil down there underneath the rock.
Yep.
He's sitting on, along with these strange creatures, and your writer up here. Oh, God, this is just. I mean,
the thing about this one, and I think this is so true of me, and I hate to say this is a generality of most people, is, you know, you go on vacation and you're like looking at a candy bar and the rest of the world is going by, you know. So he's sitting here drawing. I don't know what he's really drawn, but he's so involved with that he doesn't notice that this guy rides up. And when I was thinking of this, I was thinking of, you know, you've got a lot of the English knights would have their hawks with them or their different things. So he's got his mount, he's got his favorite bird, and then he's got a couple of these sort of fangy, doggy dinosaur guys that are there too. But of course, the hero doesn't notice that because he's rendering the right kind of green on the grass or something that he's drawing there. And he's got his little, you know, trail kit and his cup of coffee and his water. And, you know, so it's that kind of fun stuff where, so I put him down in the dark, and in the color version, it is darker there. And then this guy's all lit up, you know. And how many times have we all been sitting in a room so involved, and I'm like that too. I'll get so involved in the drawing, Anita will come in and do a bunch of stuff and leave, and I won't even know she did that, you know. So, yeah.
That's a great piece. It's a great piece. Okay, so I want to ask you about this one.
Yes, sir.
Let me bring it up. Unfortunately, on this program, I have to push about 6 different buttons to actually share an image. You'd think it would be a little bit more streamlined than that. But, okay, so
I
now,
love that guy.
yeah, well, I did too. I was, okay, first of all, the detail is mind-numbing. But the second thing is like, again, I look at this and I say, I could have never conceptualized this. It's just so far beyond. Everything I do seems to be draw from traditional sources. And you've got stuff that are like, what the heck? How did you come up with this? But the question I have for you,
Yes.
that I noticed in your line work, and not how you draw or anything, but just in the line work, you and Bill Stout have a very similar line quality. Now, have you noticed that, or is that something that you? I'm wondering if you guys have like similar influences back, you know, from earlier. That because a lot of times your line work and is very reminiscent of Stout's, and I don't mean that in the sense that you're, you know, copying Stout or anything, but it feels like you guys are drawing maybe from the same sources or inspirations. So what are your feelings on that?
Well, my humorous side just goes, "Who's Bill Stout?"
You don't know who? Are you joking?
I know him. I've met him.
Okay.
I'm a friend with him on Facebook, and
Okay.
we met. I mean, if you look at his work and you look at my work, and then you look at Mobius's work,
Right.
Mobius was a heavy influence on us. Stout was a heavy influence on me for some of the dinosaur stuff and that. But the thing is that both Bill and Mobius and a lot of the people I always talk about have that real traditional, okay, I'm just going to say traditional line, you know, trained in this sort of classical line weight, line variation, line, you know, dealing with line and things like that. You know, when I look at someone like Manola or Toth, line is not important to them as far as the weight or the thickness and that.
Right.
It's a movement, it's the black, it's the white, it's the shape. So yeah, I would say that when I think of, you know, and I say the same thing about Jeff Darrow too, you know, I mean, that guy is, he mind numbs me, you know, and Mobius mind numbs me too, you know, I mean, it's just like, there are so many and Squayton, you know, I can just sit here and name names because I go and I look at these guys and you start saying, wow, look at how they did this. Look at how they did that. That's interesting. And then I also go back, and if people go to grazingdinosaurpress.com on YouTube, I have a couple little drawing tutorials that I did.
Oh.
And one of them is talking about just drawing a face and all the different kinds of hair you can put on somebody, different types of beard hair, different types of eyebrows. And I just go through this whole little list of things, and I do that. And then I did one just on texturing and talking about directional movements on form and what it can do and what a cross contour is. And that's all really traditional stuff. So, you know, the thing that I would say too is that in a lot of cases, once I finish a pencil drawing, I will sometimes just do take it into Photoshop and do some sort of grays on it, so I know where I want some of the values to go, and then I start finishing them off. But on the other hand, I'll sit down and I'll do really tight pencils, and then I'll do really loose pencils, depending on that whole, like I was saying, that sort of surrealist, some days I'm just going to have fun, and some days I want it spelled out.
Were you mentioned this briefly earlier in the conversation about 60s underground comics.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I look at like some of the stuff you do. To me, it's more obvious in Stout's work. And I'm not trying to spend a bunch of time comparing you to Stout, but
No.
I'm kind of trying to get to the origin of this line. Because I see Stout stuff, to me, a lot of times looks like underground comics that are drawn really well.
Yeah.
And it has that kind of, I don't know, would maybe Robert Crumb line or something like that. So is that something you think you picked up a little bit from that period of time?
Well, I guess I would go one step further back, because the guy that taught, I was really a good teacher I had in college, was Jack Youngquist. And one of the first lectures he gave is he came in and he said, we're going to work with the quality of line. And he says that the calligraphic quality, which is cali is beautiful, graphy is line. So what can the beautiful line give you? So when you look at people like, I'm going to say Ang, which is Ingres, and I can tell you 8 different ways that I've been told and how to pronounce that. But you look at those guys, and you look at the Albert Doors, and you look at the classic fine artists out there that were very linear. The Germans are incredibly linear. And those are the people I started with. And then when you sit down, and I grew up in North Dakota, and there really wasn't a lot of stuff around. It's not like the nearest art museum was 75 miles. Art museum was 350 miles away. Nearest art gallery was 75 miles away.
Wow.
So the thing that I had access to were books and comics, and that's where I grew up my love of Jack Kirby and all those guys. My dad turned me on to Hal Foster and Alex Raymond, and then obviously Raymond, was a big influence with with Williamson.
Yeah.
And we all kind of roll into, I think, this giant ball. And it doesn't bother me when you compare me to Bill, because I think he's a fucking genius, and I think Mobius is a fucking genius. I think, there are so many different styles and ways of working, but you have to find, if I have to give anybody advice, you have to find what resonates with you. And you hit the nail on the head with me. I love textures. I love surfaces. Sometimes I'm a little too anal and have to go in there and render too much. And I've been trying to become more suggestive with some of the coloring that I've been doing. Like, that's the newest little color piece I've done.
Okay, and then let's jump into this, because we're still getting the drawing. We're still getting that unique, interesting creature creation.
Mm-hmm.
But now we don't have the line work. What we have is your color work, which I'm not going to say it's bold. I mean, it's still detailed color work, but it is still a little bit looser. It feels like a watercolor, which clearly that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get in here a little bit tighter on there. So how does your approach change when you're doing something like this? I mean, okay, let me narrow that a little bit.
Okay.
When you go in here, are you establishing your values with pencil shading and then painting over the top, or how are you doing that?
I just did a line drawing.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then I worked up a little bit of a light brown drawing in watercolor, and then I started building up and layering the colors. I approach watercolor from a real soft glazing standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So I sometimes, like that blue is actually about 4 different blues all built up.
Right.
So it's anal retentive, and I just go, I've spent this long doing this in watercolor, 3 days farting around with this. I could have got it done in acrylic a lot faster. But for some reason, I decided that I needed to go back and do watercolors again. So,
well,
I had to figure out the limitations of the medium.
Mhm.
And, you know, again, it's like anything else. You try to create focal points. You try to create the way you move around your picture plane, what becomes the strongest thing that you want to have stand out, you know, and sometimes, you know, like the subtlety of the little guys in the background where it's a mist, so they're just a little bit softer blue purple color.
Are you using acrylic there for the, or is that just really thick watercolor for those dark color areas there on his wings, for example? Are those acrylics, or is that just
No,
watercolor?
all the darks are watercolor. The only thing that is a little bit of something different is the on the highlight spots on the wing. Because, you know, when you're working with watercolor, you have to pretty much leave your lights and then you work into your darks.
Right, right,
When you're working in acrylics, you can go either way. Same thing with oils.
right.
So the lights on the wing there, I went in with gouache, which is actually opaque watercolor,
Mhm.
and put a few dots and a few things on there just to bring that out.
Now,
So it's in the watercolor family, but it's just gouache.
right. Okay. Now, do you use a hair dryer to go in and dry your layers so you can work faster?
You know, I keep thinking about doing that, but I always get out here and then I realize the hairdryer is still in the house. Just my studio is actually in the back. There's the house and there's a little building that I'm in, which is the studio. So then I just get lazy and I'll put down like 6 or 7 really big washes. And while they're drying, I'll work on something else. And then they dry and I do that. I probably should do that, but you know, I keep forgetting.
I highly recommend it. It's sped up many of my watercolor drawings because I'm the same way with like you do. I approach these watercolors. I love to go really light and just layer and layer and layer and layer and layer till I get the value that I want, rather than being bold and just laying it down, you know, because I feel like I have more control. I don't know if that's really true or not, but it feels that way. And so I would get the hairdryer out because I'm like, I'm not sitting here and waiting for this thing to dry so I can put another layer over the top of it. So I just blast it with the hairdryer, then get back right on it again.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. So I really need to do that. You're right. And I think you're brilliant. I'm sort of an old dud. But what happens with me, I'll put that wash down and I'll work it around and get some things going. I say, okay, now I got to let that dry and I'll slide that up on my drawing board. And then I pull something else out I'm working on. And then I start drawing on that. And then all of a sudden I go, oh, the wash is dry, you know? So either way, it kind of works. And that's why when people say, how long did it take you to do that? You know, I go, it's hard because I'm always drawing on sometimes 2 or 3 things.
Now, is this just for fun, or is this actually part of your book as well, or planned on being part of your book?
It's actually for fun, but when you think about it, because it involves creatures and all this kind of stuff, I can just go, oh yeah, it was a brilliant idea I had to include in the book. So, you know what I mean? So if there's a section in the book that just goes animals, you know, I can go, oh boy, have I got a nice watercolor I can put in there, you know?
Well, I hope you do that book, Mark, like in sooner than later, because I know not only me, but I know there's a lot of people I think that would jump on that as well. Now, this I'm guessing is not part of the book.
No, that's a Broken Angel series that I did.
Crap, sorry, I just lost the image. Let me do that again. Let me do it again. I try to pretend I'm a professional, and then this kind of stuff happens.
Well, then you'd have to talk to a professional, so we're both in the same boat.
Okay.
That one, I think I did send you the color on that one too.
There we go.
There we go. No, so that's the gray paper, white pencil. Now, this series, and I'll tell you a little bit about it, is the Broken Angel series. And the models that I've used, this model actually I've used for almost 6 or 7 years. And I did the series that was the Broken Angels, and they all had one wing. And this one is actually the headdress series. And I was playing with a Medusa, and I was playing with other things. And I went back and did a lot of research into symbols, going back to Joseph Campbell and Marianne Gadabute and different people and looking it up. Like there's an American Indian story about the horned toad that the horned toad will tell you which way to go. If you put him down, he will point the direction you need to go, and that's why the horned toad is in there. And I mixed a lot of different things in there, like Nordic symbols that I did work with, Egyptian symbols, fertility symbols, different kinds of symbols that all relate. And each one becomes a really complex story for me. And the problem is, as soon as I finish the drawing and put it away, I'll pull it out a year later and I'll go, damn, I forgot everything. So I can tell you some stories about some of them, because a couple of them with the models, their family was four. There was a husband and her, and well, actually 3 kids, so it was 5. So all the tattoos, all the things that were done on the figures were based on the number 5. So there's a lot of,
Okay, but here's the question. Here's
Yes.
the question. A two-parter here for you.
okay.
Number one, so this model comes in basically naked, and you add all this garbage on her after. When I say garbage, I don't mean that in a negative sense. I just mean just, nutty stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And you add all this later, and that's one question. I mean, do you have her dressed up in anything, or is this just all like you figure out what you're going to do and you just place it on her? And then 2, you said this is a series. So this is a series of prints or something? I mean, so then you're creating these to sell as prints or something? Because obviously your model you have to pay for, right?
Yeah, I sold a bunch of them as prints, yeah. Well, okay, here's the thing. To answer that first part, the models that I've had, when I've asked people to model, they're all different body shapes, styles, and sizes, because I just don't want to have that one sort of Elfgren or superhero. Right. Every woman looks like, stainless steel missile breasts and things like that. So, but in this case with her, she wore, and this is what I say, if you wear like not a sports bra shirt that flattens everything, but a swimming suit or an outfit that keeps the form, I can take that off in the drawing. And do what I do here. So some of them aren't nude. Some of them started out with that, and then they go, screw it, and they take their clothes off. One of them that I worked with for so long, she actually said, I was in the gym working out, and I was looking in the mirror, and I thought this might be a nice pose for one of your drawings. Because, I go through and I talk to them about things. I talk to them about what I'm trying to do. And part of each one of these people's personality is baked into these pieces. So, one of the people I did, she was just, she was crazy. She was a great person, but, it was interesting because when she modeled with some clothes on, it was like she was really stiff, and like all of a sudden she said, well, okay. And she took off her clothes, and it was like this whole new person came out. And she was jumping all over the model stand and I got some great shots. We got some great stuff, but I'll talk to them about what I'm doing with the Broken Angels and the headdress. The Broken Angels was dealing with the attitude. The basic premise was, in South America, they believe that woman mated with jaguar to create man. So in all those Broken Angel drawings, there's a jaguar represented either as a vase from a pre-Columbian kind of thing, or an image, or a tattoo, or different things. And they, that's the start of the story. One of them became Life Lotus Woman. And when you go to Egypt, when the Nile floods, it brings down all the rich earths. And then the lilies will bloom and all this stuff, not lilies, the lotus plant, would bloom. And that's when life was reaffirmed again, and it kept going on. So that was very important. So all these things started to fit in. So in some of those drawings, there's old Egyptian runes, there's Egyptian writing, there's things about the Egyptian gods and what their idea was. The salmon has been a symbol for fertility for how long? Because it's what fed the northwest Indians and things like that. and that's when the salmon run every year. So all these things became my personal look at a lot of different stuff. And a friend came up with the best term for it, which I thought was kind of funny but nice. He said these drawings are very shamanistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
this is a themed series you're doing of, I'm going to guess limited edition prints, right? So someone would get one of these from you and are they signed and numbered, or are they just like open edition? Okay, they are.
they're signed and numbered.
Okay, and the finished ones are colored, correct?
Yeah, and actually what I did do in one case is I could do a print of the black and white and a print of the color, and sometimes the people would buy the black and white one instead of the color, or the color one instead of the black and white. Did I send you a color one of this?
I'm looking really. Would it have been in one of the folders? Like
yeah. I'm trying to think if it was in headdress. Well, if they go to grazingdinosaur.com, grazingdinosaurpress.com, there's a whole Broken Angel series in there. And then on the page with a lot of the Broken Angels and the masks, you go down to the very bottom and you click on this little one which says Mansick, and you get to see some of the nudes. So I kind of,
well, here's a different one. I think this might be part of the same
series,
but it's color. Let's take a look and see.
That looks like me.
Yeah, well, it'll get better in a minute.
I hope so. Okay, that one is one of my faves.
Is this from the same series though?
Well, this is a Broken Angel because you see there's the wing, but this one, the wing has actually not been broken. So I really don't want to get into too much of the story, but you can see there's certain shapes to the tattoos. There's certain types of jewelry. And I related to this person because, when I talk to them or when they model for me, because there's a lot of stuff I do. And what I mean by that, it's like, I just don't go, okay, stand there, click, click, click. I go, okay, I want you to, do this, do that, follow this, take this, and then I play with the lights and I do different things. Then we'll shoot a set of photos, and then we'll sit down and look at them on the computer, and I'll say, this is working, this is not working, this is what I want to do. And in a couple cases, when the model was just relaxing, I got a couple of really beautiful shots that have become drawings. So you never know where some of these little reference pictures are going to come from or where they're going to go. Now, in this case, the model, I had a sort of a translucent sheet that she was holding, and we wrapped it around and she dropped it down. So there's a bunch of them where there's a translucent black sheet that are going back and forth and around in the thing too.
Let's see here. Josh Olive, now he's a store owner in Alabama, and he wants to know, let's cut straight to the core of the apple. How do we get about commissioning art from Mr. Nelson, assuming he does that? Do you do commissions?
You go and you get this thing called the gold ingot, Josh.
I'm going to say that getting a commission out of Mark Nelson is not going to be easy. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I would just, like all of us, we go, well, okay, here's the thing. I mean, I do a lot, and when I do shows, I do a lot of commission work at the shows and things like that. And when I come home, I usually work on my stuff, but I do some commissions, and it depends on what they want and what they want to do. And people have found out if they give me the freedom, they're going to get more for their money. If they go,
usually works that way.
Yeah, I want the Hulk, and I want him eating a candy bar, and you're like going, oh, shoot me now.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
If they can trick you into doing something you want to do or you like to do, they're going to get a much better piece. It always works that way.
One guy came up to me, and this is in North Carolina, and he wanted me to do a pinhead, and he started talking, and I said, wait, tell you what, let me just do a little doodle here for you so you can see it. Then I said, if you like this doodle, I'll finish it off, but just don't, when people are going, and the needles have to be 3/4 of an inch,
Yep.
And I did this thing, and he came back, and he just kind of, his jaw hit the floor. He said, "Wow." Well, he said another word, but this is a family show. He said fire truck. Uh, so, and he really loved the piece. And I went nuts because I did Hellraiser stories. I designed a couple of the Cinnabites that for the comic book that Clive really liked. And so, when you say to somebody, I said, let me do some, like that's the little picture of the guys on the watercolor that you just showed.
Yeah.
I love drawing 3 or 4 creatures interacting with each other, telling a little story like that. And I've done quite a few of those that I'll never see again because I don't scan them because they're at shows.
Right.
And they're so much fun to do. And you get more for your money because I'm laughing and carrying on and doing it. But now saying that, people always go, I want you to do an alien. And I've done so many aliens, and this is not to sound like a jerk. I've actually finally been able to do them again, because it was like I watched Aliens, that movie, on VHS when I was doing this other project, frame by frame to tell that story. And I haven't been able to watch Aliens since, and that's the 80s.
I believe it.
Because after analyzing and after going through these things over and over, and then everybody wants you to draw the same thing. And Aliens, that's where I really look at Corbin and I look at Mignola, and they're brilliant because they've learned, put a lot of black in there. And that's what Barker put more black in there, Don't draw everything. Put more black in there. And so, yeah.
Okay, how about this? Same guy, Josh Olive, wants to know, how do we go about booking you for a show? He'd like to do that too. And someone else, Hyper Potatoes, says that I'm late. Glad to see Mark Nelson. I've been missing him at Heroes Con lately. So are you up for doing any cons in the can people book you for that, or is that something you're staying away from right now?
Because of the COVID thing, we really got slammed last year. I was doing more cons, which, I don't mind doing them. I really don't. Sometimes I get a little, I think we all do. I become more of a hermit, you just like, let me sharpen a pencil. But did you put my email address up there?
That's it. I didn't.
Okay. But yeah, if
well,
you're
wait a minute, can they get in touch with you through Facebook?
Facebook is weird with that crap. I can't figure it out because if they go to my Grazing Dinosaur Press thing and they send me a message, I swear it goes to Scotland, and some little elf has got to drink enough whiskey to send it back to me because I find stuff like a year later. The best thing is, and
wait a second, if you go over to private, you see on your right, as you're facing your screen on the right hand side there's a little button that says private chat.
Yeah.
Okay, click on that, and that will allow you down at the bottom to enter in your email address there. I can grab it and then post it in the regular comment section.
Oh, okay. Ready? Yeah, that's the best thing. And if they go to Grazing Dinosaur Press and you go through everything, it gives me my email thing too. So, and actually, the email is on the Mark Nelson page. Okay, here we go. I'll do that. You can just tell I'm a one-finger typer.
You didn't? Wait a minute. You're older than I am. You had to have taken typing in school.
I did, but what you got to remember is when I taught, we had secretaries. So I could longhand everything and give them to her, and she typed it. So my typing skills kind of went down. And I'm not really one finger. I type with my both hands. But I still look at the keyboard a lot more than you're supposed to.
Right, which slows you down.
GDP Mark 53 at Comcast.net. There you go.
All right, there it is. All right. So I should be able to, theoretically, to copy this and paste it in. This is so convoluted, but I should be able to post this in there. Let's see if it works. As I eat a, there it is.
Is it in there?
It should be. Yep.
No, who's the gentleman that was asking about that?
Josh Olive. He's a store owner in Alabama. So I don't know if he's connected with a show down in them southern parts.
Well, okay. Okay.
Josh Olive.
Oh, yeah, you got it. You posted it. That's great. So
Okay.
I'll Josh, if you can, if you're, I mean, you're obviously watching. I mean, geez, I'm an idiot. You know, it's like
watching.
Josh was sucked up by a giant tentacle and won't be back for a week. You know, so yeah, that's it. Oh, there we go.
Okay,
That's
so
my favorite one.
is this part of this? Is this like the broken wing thing, or is it not? Because he doesn't look like she has any wings.
No, because what happened was the wing became other. You see, here's the thing. I didn't really give you a sequential kind of thing because different things and different models that I did, I started to stretch the whole idea. Like this one goes back to sort of the Earth Mother because with striped sheets, that was my sort of play on the Earth. And there's one model that I used, and it was the Earth Mother and those striped sheets. In fact, one person went, "If you don't quit using striped sheets, I'm going to kill you." You know, it's like saying you can't draw the S on Superman's chest. You know.
Now, do you do like a thumbnail of what you want with at least indication of the? You really don't. So it's you wait till you get the pose that you like, and then you kind of build around it.
Yeah. This is what I was talking to you about with this surrealist automatic drawing. And a lot of it is talking. I have a conversation with the drawings, which, believe it or not, I don't want to sound like, it's too, but it's just like a lot of times when I'm working on these, the drawings start saying, you need this, you need that, you need to balance this, or you need to add this. And there are times where some of these drawings have not really worked out, or they stop talking to me while I'm drawing on them. And I just put them in a drawer. And I have probably about 15 or 20 of them that are unfinished.
Gee.
That I should finish someday.
Yeah, come on, Mark. Gee, Merry Christmas, man.
I mean, it's since these things, I mean, the difference is this. These things are done for me, and it's all personal. So, it's like when you get in an argument with yourself, you go, all right, loser, I'm putting that one in the drawer. You can't think of anything, dummy.
Yeah.
So, but, again, when you got a script that you're going from or an illustration, or you're doing that, and somebody says Superman punches Batman in the face, you're not like going, oh, I don't know what to draw, I mean, you're kind of giving all right, here's Batman and Superman's going to do this to him, so how are you going to show that visually? I mean,
that's a really excellent point, because there's really some truth to that. I hadn't thought of it until you just mentioned it, that when you're drawing for yourself, the possibilities are limitless, right? So it's really hard sometimes to narrow down your focus and say, this really works, this is what I want to do. Whereas you're being hired to do something, they're telling you, we need this, or we need something like this, and you do it. But creating your own sort of fantasy type stuff without any sort of direction, you're just kind of going with your artistic mojo, you can get sidetracked or derailed pretty easily.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm not saying that it's like, oh, woe is me, I suffer, because I don't. No. It's just, there's times, those are things that when I work on, I always remember reading something that Mobius said. Mobius said that you have to spiritually, clear your mind before you can really draw. Now, I know he really believed that. And I mean, it's something I don't, I respect people's opinions. There's some people that are just, I had a friend that was a mathematician and went and made art. And I looked at his art and I just kind of kept saying to myself, how the living daylights does this guy do this? But his mind and thought process was all analytical and pulling things apart and doing this. And at that time, my drawings were kind of like, I said, the difference between your work and mine is that you're analyzing, you're comparing, you're releasing relationships of shape, line, form, this and that. I throw up on the page and find something in there. So again, when you're doing art for yourself, it's a really It's a different concept, and I'm not saying one's right or what's wrong because I love illustration. I mean, I wish I could be as good as Leindecker or NC Wyeth or all those people that are out there that did such beautiful work.
Well, you do beautiful work in your own right, and that's the thing. It's
well, thank you.
So just to encapsulate this, I told my wife I'd cut these at about 2 hours, so we're right about the cutoff point. But I want to.
Kidding? We've been bullshitting that long?
An hour and a half, yeah.
Well, throw on some more images and I'll shut up.
No, I got a question. So,
okay.
So you're doing these on the gray paper, or the tone paper, right? What we talked about with the pencil work, and then the white pencil for the highlights, and then you're scanning these and coloring them. Is that how you're getting to your final product?
Yeah. Well, the final color, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
but,
so
the thing is, I call it tone paper drawing, which is pretty much my old drawing teacher, Jack Youngquist, who I said earlier. He came up with the best quote, and I've loved this my whole life. And it was, if it's under $9.99, it's a vase. If it's over $9.99, it's a vase. Okay. This is not under $9.99, so it's not a tone paper drawing. It's a chiaroscuro drawing.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That's right. When you got that much detail in it, that becomes a chiaroscuro. It's no longer.
No. The only thing that I can say, Aaron, is it's like I always go. It's the Texas bullshit frog. Knee deep, knee deep, knee deep, knee deep. I don't care if you want to call it tone paper drawing. I'm not going to lose my mind. If you want to call it the traditional drawing method of chiaroscuro, that's perfectly fine too. But
I go into art supply stores and I get mocked because I don't know what to call stuff. And I told an employee one time, I said, look buddy, I do this for a living. I don't give a rip if I'm using the right lingo. You can be pretentious if you want to be.
Yeah.
Take the paper and go, actually get paid to do this. So I'm terrible at the proper artistic lingo.
Oh, and the thing about that is it changes every 2 weeks. So,
Yeah, exactly. So, Mark, as we wind this thing down, tell me now, you did a book, right? What's that? We were just talking about this.
Hold on. Entertain yourself just for 2
seconds. Your book. Okay, so we're going to have, as Mark runs off screen to get his book to promote, I'm going to take a look at, I'm not going to eat any more Swedish fish because I almost took these out. And Shelley threw the rest of the stuff in the freezer. So I ate the chocolate almonds. That's 160 calories. And Judas Priest, I ate almost this entire box. So I've got to be close to 500 calories in what I've consumed just on this show. And then in some ways, that's kind of disgusting, isn't it? But yeah, Jeff, I don't know what's the snack status. I'm giving you the snack status. I probably had a little bit too much, but I am going to grill some chicken tonight once we get to with the live stream. And so maybe I can counterbalance some of that disgusting, sugary, caloric intake with some nice, wholesome grilled chicken. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out. Victor Thomas is bailing on us, but he said, great show, Aaron. Everyone have a good night. Thank you for joining us, Victor. I appreciate it. How much detail? Yes, exactly. All right, you're back. People were questioning if you're on a bathroom break or if you actually went to get a book or not.
I had to fight that saber-toothed tiger and a massive.
Yep.
Okay, this is one of my books. It's called From Pencils to Inks. I can't get the.
There you go. That's good right there. Yeah, that's good.
It's a paperback. If you go to Amazon, they're charging outrageous amounts of money for it.
So we can get it directly from you?
If you buy from me, it's like $15. Amazon, I think the last time I looked was 40 or something.
How long has it been out of print?
Well, I don't know. I've got them all, most of them. But this one has got, it's all black and white. It's got a whole bunch of ink drawings. It's got a bunch of tone paper. And it's got a bunch of my comic book stories that have been run in, like Kitchen Sink and different things. Here's my spoof on Hellboy called Crab Boy. You
Now,
know,
you also have a design book though too, right? Designing worlds or designing creatures or.
stop it. I'm going. Don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're running the show.
I'm sorry.
Then there's also visual dialogues, which is a hardcover, and it's all color with some black and white stuff. The only thing that I warn people is there is some nudity in it. And what I want to try and do is find one of the drawings that doesn't have nudity. There it is. So what you can see is there's is it register the black and white drawing?
Yep.
And then there's the color.
Yep.
So you can
Nice.
kind of see both of them. And this one's got everything from some of my book covers. I did a book cover for Ray Bradbury, and it's got the black and white drawing, the color roughs, and then all that stuff. So this has got a lot, and there's only about 15 pages of commercial work, and the rest of it again is personal. The black and white paperback is all personal work, and then there's also, if you type in Innsmouth, I did an Innsmouth book with Steve Smith, which I didn't grab. And then this is the one you're talking about.
Yeah. That's newer, right? More recent?
Yeah, this is the newest book. It's, oh God, I'm sorry. The camera's getting me so.
I know. Yeah, I know. It goes the opposite way. It's really a pain in the
Yeah,
butt.
it's fantasy world building. And this has a lot of the stuff from Thunder Hunters in there. And it has.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Now, do you discuss your technique in there, or is it just drawings?
I'm showing drawings of different things I've done. Like there's some of the building designs and different things. And what it is it's talking about the thought process of thinking and being a visual designer. And actually what's kind of nice is Todd Lockwood wrote the intro. And as part of the Innsmouth book, I made him into one of the Innsmouth monsters. So I said, Todd, can I use that drawing for your intro? And he started laughing and he said, yeah. But this is the sort of the crux of the book is we talk about, there's one of the buffalo bones I have in my studio.
Okay.
And where do ideas come from?
Right.
Here I am holding the bone. So then you see I designed a whole little city of buffalo bones that birds lived in. Then I took it to the next level and I designed spaceships that look like that buffalo bone. And I do the line drawings and I do a value study. And then on the next page, I did the colors. So,
All right. So
it's talking a lot about where ideas come from, the research, thinking about stuff, taking it that next step further, you know?
So people can email you directly to get any of those books. Is that correct?
The only one they can't get from me is the Dover book. You have to go to Amazon for that.
Okay.
And the Dover book is the world building because
Oh, that's the newer one. Okay.
the other ones I had a big hand in, so I ended up with a ton of them. And you know, the Dover book is through Dover, which that I have to admit is a really, if you do go to it, they don't put my A in there, they just put Mark Nelson. Type in Mark Nelson books at Amazon, it'll come up, and they have a whole thing there where you can leaf through almost 15 pages of it.
Oh, awesome.
And it's really, it's fun. I mean, if I have to say anything, like an old student said, this is the way you were when you were in class with us. That's how you taught.
Excellent.
So
now let's wrap this up with a few. Got a few emails here or messages. Aaron was just saying to Shelley, "Oh, come on, 5 more minutes.
No, I just
We're
walked in.
almost done." She timed it perfectly. Some person says, "Not just great advice, Mark, but awesome art." So
Thank
you're winning some fans over.
Woohoo.
Well, I got to tell you, dude. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and educate all of us, quite frankly. My dog's getting a little
The dog
restless.
can't even take it. There we go.
But it's just, I love talking technique. I love talking to guys who really know what they're doing. And clearly you are one of those guys. I'm a big fan of your work. And I'm going to run to my computer. Well, I don't have to.
Oh,
I'm
wait.
sitting right here, and I'm going to order some of this stuff because those books are just awesome, and I can't get enough of your stuff. And I was glad to see what made me call you originally was seeing you posting all this stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, man, I got to get Mark on here and talk to him. And I really appreciate you taking the time, and I know everybody in the audience is just loving it too. So,
Yay.
Well, all I can say is thank you very much. And the other book, the Innsmouth book, is also only available from Amazon. But I do have,
so
and I'm waiting for this to get wrapped up. I have a fish book coming out of all my fish drawings. And it's 3 volumes, and it's about 100 and something each volume. So it's over 300 pages of fish drawings.
Wow.
So yeah, all my wacky fish that I do, which I love.
Right.
But,
oh my God. You can have a bird book, a fish book. Oh my gosh, that's some great
Your
stuff.
daddy?
Yep.
Oh, he's freaking out.
Yeah, and I'd have your dog book. You see, you need to send me a picture of your dog, and you'll get something back that you won't believe.
Our
Yeah, that's
little
right. Like
schnauzer.
the things sticking out here and eyes over there.
Oh God, no. But actually, we're friends with Michael at Bedrock,
Yes.
and when his little dog passed, I know it really tore him and Michelle up, and I made a little drawing, and I know I posted it so everybody saw it, and it was his dog, in a spaceship, going, "Come on, monkey boy, let's get going. There's things to do." And the spaceship takes off, and it's, dogs and pets, they're family, man. They really are.
Yep. They really, really are.
Yeah, he
So
runs the
let me-
house.
Let me plug my project really quick here before we
Wait
go.
a second. If you need a pinup page, let me know. And I'm going to tell you something. Your sketchbook that I bought of yours at Bedrock, I mean, you're not exactly, shaved banana breasts either. You've got some damn nice drawing going there, my friend.
Aw.
Thank
Damn
you.
nice.
Appreciate that, Mark. I
You
appreciate
really,
it very much.
it's so great to meet somebody that I met your work before I met you. And it's, I have to admit, it's been a real slice of heaven. So,
Well, thank you. You're a charming gentleman, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to meet you. And I think I can thank Hillary Barta for connecting us way back many moons ago. But anybody that's interested in Wraith of God, it's available. The pre-launch page is up. I'm soliciting people to go and sign up, give me their email so I can keep them informed when the project actually goes live in mid-August. It's going to be a 72-page graphic novel. The link is in the description of this video and also all over my Facebook pages, my Instagram, and Twitter. So please support that if you can. I want to thank everybody for joining us for this, our 1,000 sub celebration show.
Yay.
Hopefully we'll get to 2,000 a lot quicker so we can have another big show. And again, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. And everybody in the comments section who joined and watched and will be watching this maybe in a day or two, we appreciate you and hope that you will come back. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Remember, Mark has a YouTube channel as well where he's got some instructional stuff up there. You want to check that out.
Cool.
If you want to see a master get to work. So everybody enjoy.
no, come on. I'm an anchor. I just trace, man.
That's right. That's right. So everybody, thank you. And we will see you next time.
And thank you, Aaron. And anytime you want me to come on and just chat about any kind of, thing, I'm more than willing, because it's been like I said, it's been fun, my friend. It really has.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
You see some of the bookcases back there?
Looks like his studio.
Oh, yeah, he's got 33 bookcases. I've only got like 5, so I feel bad here. But
Shelley, when you and Aaron come to visit us in Texas, you'll go through all the libraries, and you will look at Aaron and you'll say, "I'll never complain again about you buying a book."
You got it.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.